So we're jumping to the story, and it just grabs you right away with this really terrifying vision, a town burning.
Yeah, flames everywhere in that black night. Just pure fear.
It's incredibly visceral. But then the book does something interesting. It pulls back. Suddenly she's by a campfire, safe, hearing a voice she trusts.
Right. It's a jarring shift. It makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. Like,
Yeah.
what happens when you escape that immediate, raw terror? You survive it, but then maybe you find yourself in a situation that's dangerous in a, well, different way, maybe deeper.
Exactly. It moves from, surviving one horrible event to dealing with the ongoing stuff, the threats that follow you inside and out.
Right. So let's get into Blood of Elves. This is the first full novel in the Witcher saga by Andrzej Sapkowski. And what we want to do is really walk through the key moments, the characters, the big ideas, and try to pull out what this book is really telling us.
Yeah.
The important insights.
Yeah. And this one, it's less about straightforward monster hunting. It's much more about what happens after conflict, identity, control.
Control of yourself, control by others. Big themes.
Definitely.
Speaking of digging deeper and thinking about what stories mean, that actually connects to what we do on Mindful Moments over on our YouTube channel.
Oh, right.
We use AI analysis there to look at books, just like this one, trying to spark some deeper insights, encouraging you, the listener, to really think critically about the stuff you read or watch, getting past just the surface level.
It's about that critical engagement, yeah.
Okay, so let's really start at the heart of this book. It kicks off with Ciri, dealing with the aftermath of Sintra. And it's not just history. She's living it, haunted by that nightmare, the Black Night.
Waking up screaming, it's intense. And Geralt, her destiny has brought her to Kaer Morhen, the Witcher's place.
Which the book calls what may be the safest place in the whole world.
Something like that. But it's also, a ruin, a shadow of what it was.
That contrast is immediate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Safety, but it's wounded safety, built on decay.
Tells you a lot about the world right there.
And you've got the Witchers. Geralt, Vesemir, Eskel, Lambert, Cohen, these tough, mutated monster hunters. Now they have a kid to raise.
And how do they do it? Well, they do what they know, which is physical training. Hardcore physical training.
Yeah, the descriptions are vivid. That killer trail, the pendulum practice.
All combat skills. Ciri's covered in bruises. She's exhausted, but she's learning fencing, hitting sacks. He even starts saying it to herself.
Wow, Witcher.
Right. It's how they're trying to help her survive their world, the physical threats. They might even be thinking about the trials. They have the old lab.
A laboratorium, yeah. And the ingredients for the trial of grasses, but they don't have the magic know-how.
Exactly. And that's the perfect setup for Triss Merigold's arrival. She completely changes the whole picture.
Shows up, sees the bruises, hears about the training. Her first worry is physical, but different, like internal issues from those accelerants they might have used.
Potential problems. But then she senses something else, something fundamental.
That scene on the killer trail is powerful. Triss sees Ciri, sees her eyes, those enormous emerald eyes, and just feels this presence, magic.
And that's the light bulb moment, isn't it? Triss realizes Ciri isn't just fast or strong. She's a source, a powerful one.
What does that tell us, really?
Well, it immediately shows that the Witchers, skilled as they are, they're kind of out of their depth with Ciri's real nature. Their expertise is physical, hers. Hers is tied to magic, something way more volatile.
And Triss gets the danger. Uncontrolled magic in a source. It's not just like things blowing up. It could lead to madness, catatonia.
Which explains why the Witchers called for a sorceress in the first place. They suspected something was up with Ciri's abilities, but they didn't know what it was or how to handle it. Vesemir basically admits it.
And you see that uncontrolled power burst out terrifyingly when Ciri drinks that white seagull stuff by accident.
Yeah, the Witchers think it's just a mild potion. Triss knows better, especially for a source. Ciri goes into this trance.
I start speaking in this other voice.
Yeah.
Prophesy.
Uttering these really cryptic, loaded phrases about the Black Night again, the child of elder blood, the white flame.
And that the lion cub must die for reasons of state. Chilling stuff.
And Lambert, he just dismisses it. Rubbish. Senseless drivel. Classic Witcher pragmatism, maybe.
Maybe. But Triss tries to challenge whatever's speaking through Ciri magically.
Yeah.
That tells you everything.
Right. The insight here isn't just Ciri has powers, it's that she's a conduit, a channel for these huge forces connected to politics, destiny. Child of elder blood, that's her lineage. White flame that points to Emperor Emhyr of Nilfgaard. reasons of state, the political game.
So it shows how vulnerable she is, not just physically, but to these huge unseen currents, destiny, politics.
Exactly. Okay, so moving out from Kaer Morhen, the book then zooms out, shows us the bigger picture, the political mess.
We get that meeting of the Northern Kings, Vizimir, Foltest, Dimolwen, Miv.
And what jumps out immediately, they just fought a war together against Nilfgaard, right? But now they're totally divided again.
Bickering, taxing each other, arguing over land.
There's no unity. They can't even agree on the Nilfgaard threat. Foltest wants to charge in and take Sintra back.
Vizimir is more cautious, worried about provoking Nilfgaard, maybe listening too much to wizards like Vilgeforth pushing for peace.
And Dimolwen, he points out the rot from within, unrest, Nilfgaardian money-corrupting things.
While Mieve's just pragmatic, recalls how she had to crack down hard to keep her own kingdom stable.
The main point, the insight, seems to be the failure of leadership, right? They have a common enemy, but their own interests, their suspicions. It leaves them fractured. Vulnerable to Nilfgaard's smarter tactics division, economic pressure.
It shows the world isn't simple good versus evil. It's complex, murky.
Definitely murky. And adding to the chaos, you've got the Scoia'tael.
The squirrels, non-human rebels, elves, dwarves, fighting humans guerrilla style.
Yeah, the book paints them as fast, elusive, always popping up in skirmishes, ambushes.
And this brings us to a really key perspective. Geralt, Ciri, and Triss, who's sick at this point, they join up with Yarpen Zigrin's convoy.
Right, Yarpen, the dwarf. He's working for King Henselt, moving supplies, so he's technically on the human side of this fight.
Which creates this great tension, especially for Geralt, who's trying so hard to stay neutral.
He even tells off that commissar, Wank. Says he won't kill non-humans just because some humans, who he thinks aren't any better, tell him to.
But traveling with Yarpen puts him right in the middle of it. And it's Yarpen who gives us one of the book's most powerful pieces of wisdom, I think.
After they get attacked by the Scoia'tael.
Yeah. Ciri, who's seen so much war already, she asks him straight up, who's right? The squirrels or you?
And Yarpen's answer. It's brilliant because it avoids the easy answer. He says the Scoia'tael's actions are criminally stupid, not because their fight is necessarily wrong.
But because they're being used, manipulated, egged on, and fed slogans by Nilfgaard, who doesn't actually care about them.
Exactly. His core idea, his sort of positive theory for how to live in this mess, it's simple.
We should not kill each other.
Fundamentally. And then the kicker, we ought to live. Live in such a way that we don't later have to ask anyone for forgiveness.
Wow. Yeah. Thinking about the future, the consequences.
Yeah.
Not just winning the fight now.
Right. He's rejecting that idea that you can do terrible things now and call it heroism later. The real insight is that morality isn't in slogans or even big ideals. It's in just preserving life, acting decently so you don't have regrets. It's such a contrast to the king's plotting or the Scoia'tael's manipulated rage.
Okay, so leaving Yarpen and the dangerous roads, Ciri's journey shifts again. She goes to the Temple of Militel. Neniki takes her in.
And it's a complete change of pace from Kaer Morhen. Totally different atmosphere.
How so?
Well, the focus flips. It's not combat anymore. It's learning. Reading, writing runes, history, nature study, poetry, languages, elder speech, common speech. It's about knowledge, understanding the world intellectually.
Cultivating her mind. And this is where she meets Yennefer.
Yes. Yennefer arrives specifically, as Neniki says, to handle Ciri's abilities, to teach her control.
And this relationship, it becomes so central later on.
Yeah.
But Yennefer's approach is tough.
Oh, definitely tough. Painful sometimes, even. But the book frames it as necessary.
Like that first demonstration Yennefer does, making Ciri feel weak, uncomfortable.
Right. It's harsh. But the key is why she does it. She tells Ciri straight up.
Not in front of Geralt.
Because he's the one who asked me to take care of your abilities, to help you deal with them.
Oh. So that reframes everything. Yeah. The difficult magic training, controlling the flow, the gestures, the pain. Ciri feels it's presented as this positive path towards empowerment, self-control, and it's something Geralt wanted for her.
Exactly. It's tough love, but the goal is mastery for Ciri. Control over herself.
And then you get that really unexpected moment between them. Almost funny in a dark way. Ciri asks Yennefer about men, finding the right bed.
Yeah. Yennefer's advice is so pragmatic, almost cynical. Rule out the ones without beds, then the dirty ones.
Then pick the most attractive from the clean ones.
It's jarring, right? But it's this piece of unconventional wisdom, the insight maybe being, life's tough, choices are limited, so make the best practical decision you can. Even with relationships, don't wait for some perfect ideal.
It definitely makes Yennefer seem more human, world-weary, but practical.
And it leads to that breakthrough moment. After that chat, Ciri shows Yennefer some face she pulled.
And they both just crack up laughing.
Yeah, the book points to that shared laughter. That's when the real bond forms. It breaks the ice, lets them talk about Geralt openly.
It's a great storytelling moment. Shows how humor, vulnerability, they can build connections even when things are hard. That found family idea again.
Crucial for Ciri.
While Ciri's finding her feet, learning control, building these bonds, the outside world hasn't forgotten her.
No, definitely not. The hunt is still on, and we see different groups involved. There's Rience.
Ugh, Rience, the sorcerer with the scar. Torturing Dandelion, looking for the Witcher and the girl. He's menacing.
Very. And then there's the intelligence services, Redania specifically, Dijkstra the spy master, and Philippa Eilhart the sorceress.
Right, Dijkstra grills Dandelion. Philippa confronts Geralt later in Oxenfurt. So the kingdoms are looking too.
And the key insight here, I think, is why everyone wants her. There are two big reasons.
Okay.
First, politics. She's Calanthe's granddaughter. The lion cub of Sintra, the last heir, royal blood. That makes her incredibly valuable for alliances, marriage. The kings talk about it pretty coldly.
A political pawn.
Pretty much. But second, there's the magic. People know or suspect she's a powerful source. Philippa even tells Geralt he knows too little about her as a source. The wizards are very interested in that kind of power.
Next, back to Triss's warning. Uncontrolled power is dangerous, sure, but it's also a resource, something others want to control or use.
Exactly. So these external forces, they don't see a kid who needs help. They see an asset, a prize. It's a huge contrast to the messy personal guidance she gets from Geralt, Triss, Yennefer.
Yeah, definitely. And Geralt's run-in with Rience in Oxenfurt really drives home the danger.
Oh, absolutely. Geralt tracks Rience down after he escapes Dandelion. There's a tense chase, a fight. Rience is cornered.
But then he calls for help, escapes through a portal. And who was involved?
Philippa Eilhart. She was there. Even admits she let Rience get away after taking out one of his goons.
That's huge. It tells Geralt and us that this isn't just one bad guy. It's complicated. Rience works for someone powerful, likely tied to Nilfgaard. Philippa represents Northern sorcerers' interest, maybe playing her own game against the kings in Nilfgaard.
And she's willing to let Rience go, putting Geralt and Ciri at risk if it suits her long-term plans.
The insight is stark, isn't it? Ciri is trapped in this tangled web. Powerful groups, all with their own agendas. Survival means navigating alliances, not just dodging attacks.
So yeah, pulling it all together, Blood of Elves shows us Ciri dealing with trauma, getting guidance from this really diverse group. Witchers, Triss, Nanaki, Yennefer, all different approaches.
While the whole world outside fractured politics, hidden powers, is hunting her. Seeing her as a tool, not a person.
It really explores family, doesn't it? Real family and found family. And morality in this messed up world. And just trying to figure out who you are when everyone else wants to decide for you.
And those moments of insight,
Yeah.
we talked about the flawed safety of Kaer Morhen, the king's disunity, Yorpen's wisdom about living without regret, Yennefer's tough love, the laughter. They feel like these little anchors of personal truth.
Yeah, anchors in a sea of manipulation and politics. Thinking about a book like this, with all its layers, it really gets you reflecting. And for more chances to reflect, to think critically, check out Mindful Moments on YouTube and our other podcasts too.
It's a good way to keep digging into the stories and ideas you come across.
Definitely. So as we finish up our look into Blood of Elves, maybe leave you with this thought. It kind of sums up Ciri's whole situation. You've got prophecy hinting at your future. Powerful people trying to control you. Even your friends disagree on what's best. In that kind of world, how much of your own destiny is actually up to you?
That's the core question, isn't it? The one Ciri faces and the one the book makes you think about.
It really does. So if this discussion about Blood of Elves got you thinking, hit subscribe. Join us for more explorations of stories that make you challenge things.
Yeah, and share this with someone else who loves fantasy or great characters or just digging into complex stuff.
And hey, if you want to read the book yourself, support the author, check the episode description for purchase links.
And most importantly, keep thinking critically about the stories you engage with and about the world around you.